Greetings, fellow programmers. My name is Pavel, and I'm going to be doing a C# exercise that was sent to me by one of the subscribers, and the exercise is about object-oriented software development. And it has 3 tasks, or it consists of 3 tasks. So I'll just go one by one, and we'll develop this app. It won't be too long, I think. So the first task is to implement a class called car, give it a constructor with some parameters, implement a method that returns the current value of the car, and a method that returns the year of the car, and override it to string method. And we of course have to test it to make sure that it works. So let's go. I'll just copy the first point. Implement a car class which has fields to store the car's make, model, registration year, and current value. So, alright, let's create a class. I'll call it car. And we will implement all those values, or all the things that they want us to do. So let's make the class public. And I'm just gonna copy paste the instructions so I can see them better. So alright, so we have the class, we created that, and we need the fields to store the car's make, model, registration, and year. So that's gonna be private. So the make will be string. I'll just call it make. Private string model, private string registration, and the year. Now, the year is a number, but we're not doing any calculations against it at all, so it can be string as well. Private string year, and I'm making current value of the car. Now that's money, so we need to actually have a number. So I'll create a double, private double, call it current value. Alright, so that's the first part of the exercise, or the first thing of the task 1. The next, implement a constructor for the car class which takes parameters corresponding to each of the fields above and constructs an object with these values. Alright, so let's do the constructor. Again, I'll just copy paste the instructions. And the constructor will be, of course, public car, and they want us to implement, or we will be passing the parameters to this constructor that correspond with these variables that we just created, or the fields that we just created. So there's gonna be a string called make, a string called model, string called registration, string year, and double the current value. So that is our constructor, and now we have to, whatever is being passed into the constructor, we will assign to our fields. So our make, our private string make over here, will equal to the make that is being passed to a constructor. The same with model. Our private model will equal to the model that is the argument in the constructor. Of course, the same with all of them. So registration equals registration, and our year equals year, and our current value equals current value. Now all these, this could be just properties with get set, but they wanted us to create fields, so that's why I'm following it this way. Alright, so this is done. So let's see what's next. Implement a method which returns the current value of the car. So again, like I said, this could be a property, but they want us to create a method, so let's do that. So let's do public, and it returns the current value, so it returns a double, and let's just call it get current value. Nothing's being passed into it. Actually, you know what, let me just put the instructions there so I'm consistent. And we will simply return what holds our current value, and that is our private underscore current value. So I'll do current value. And that's all, because current value is being passed in the constructor through the argument that the user will supply. So all we're doing here is simply returning that value. Alright, so what's next? Implement the method which returns the year of the car. Alright, so the same thing, or very similar anyway. We are creating a public, but this time it returns a year, which is a string, and get a year, I'll just call it that. And we will return the private variable that we have here, which is underscore year. Again, year is being supplied as an argument into our constructor and being sent to our variable underscore year. So what we are returning here is basically the same value that the user supplies. And now we need to do the override to string to return a string containing full information about the car. Alright, so again, let's just do the instructions. And ToString method, well, this is used when you actually output the information about the class. So it's basically a formatted string, some information that you want in formatted manner and that you want displayed. So we will do public override because we are overriding ToString, and IntelliSense already populates this. So public override string, which is the returned type of string, we are returning a string, and ToString, if you remember, everything in C# has a ToString method assigned to it. So we are simply overriding it here by formatting our own. So we will do our string dot format, and we can do something like car make, and it's gonna be our placeholder 0 right there, and we will concatenate it on the new line, and it's gonna be car model. This is gonna be number 1 placeholder. Again, get on a new line, and on a new line we will do car. Actually, I misspelled model. So we'll do car registration, and again, new line, and what's that? Year. So car year. And finally, what's the last thing? That's the current value. So car, or just let's do current value, and it's gonna be 4. And now we'll just assign the values to our placeholder. So the first one will obviously hold the make. The second one is the car model, so it will hold the model. The third one is the registration, year, and the current value. Alright, so that's our ToString method that is being overridden, and that basically fulfills these instructions. So let's see what's the last one. It says write a test class which constructs a car and prints its details to the console. So basically we're going to our main method, but I want to call it test class, so I'll just call it I'll just rename it. Our program CS I'll rename to I don't know, car test, I guess, and click yes to propagate throughout the project. So now we have our car test class here with the main method, and I will pass the instructions. And what this means, we have to create the object, so we will do our car object equals the new car, and let's pass some values to it. So the make is, let's say, Chevrolet, and this model, it will be Cruise. I'm not sure about the registration, so it's just Pavel registration. How about that? The year, let's make it a new one, 2015, and the current value, I don't know, 17,000 or something. So now we have our class, now we have our object created from the class car, and it's being held, all the information is being held in our car, a lowercase car. So all we have to do now is output everything to console.writeLine. And since we already created our ToString method, we don't have to call any like a separate, we don't have to do like a get the year, get the value and all that. Everything is being formatted into our ToString method, so all we do is call the car object on it, and that will automatically invoke the overridden ToString method. So when I run it now, we should get all this information output each on its separate line. So and what do you know? Car make, Chevrolet, Cruise, Pavel's registration, current value 17,000. So alright, that was the task 1, and in the next video I'll go over the task 2. So I'll see you then.